Hannah.
Yes.
I'd like to get in early on the YouTube podcast trend and give an apology to most women everywhere. And I say this having now spent roughly 3 or 4 days with fully shaved legs.
Uh-huh.
I now understand why women are cold in the offices always.
All the time.
Because I was sitting in the office on Friday, and it's the same temperature it's always been, that I'm normally kind of overheated at. And no matter what, I kept thinking, I am freezing cold. It's probably because of the combination of my legs and my arms, but my legs are cold, and nothing I seem to do will warm them up. So on behalf of men everywhere, I'm sorry.
I accept your apology.
And I had the same feeling at home, where I keep my house normally pretty cool. And it's only because it's partially because of the fact that I have baseboard heating, so my heat is very slow to react to temperature changes, and it's been just at that level where the heat is off during the day, but then it needs to go on at night, so it kicks in very slow. So I've been very cold this week. Even with pajama pants on, I am cold. And I've never realized just how much of a difference having like 20 pounds of hair on my legs makes in insulating that heat.
Now you know our pain.
Now I know the pain. It's not going to make me change, but I know the pain. And also, I do need to file a complaint with Online for Maintenance HR because I have not been able to stop rubbing my calves since I shaved my legs. And I think eventually it hits a point where I am just I need to take my hands off myself.
I think you just need to get consent. That's all.
I mean, I implied it.
Fair.
I haven't stopped myself so far.
That's true. This is a conundrum now.
It is a conundrum.
Because it's in the workplace. I mean, you can't have this going on in the workplace.
Technically speaking, I'm always in the workplace. Unless I leave the house, in which case that might cause other problems for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Let's start the show.
It's mighty strange. You looking happily deranged. I can't settle in bed. Or have you picked your target yet? It's ended. Got your dog bite. It's ended.
And it is Sunday again. It is that time of the week. This is Online for Maintenance, episode number 12, The Fempire Strikes Back. I'm Connor.
I'm Hannah.
And this is theoretically the official podcast of MMOFallout.com. That is MMOFallout.com. You can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/MMOFallout. We are on YouTube, and you can find us hanging out on the Sentinels of the Store Discord channel, where I am usually posting cursed memes. Now, we got some things to talk about today, some video games that we've played. What have you been up to this week?
A lot of real life stuff again. I've been doing like just a whole bunch of shuffling around. Got my room cleaned out, which is really nice. Getting a new desk soon. Really
Ooh.
happy for that. I've been struggling again with computer issues, and I have determined that all of the problems, all of the solutions, everything that I've done before didn't matter.
Yeah.
None of that was the issue. I think it's the motherboard.
Okay.
So because I have a light that's USB powered, and if I plug it into those ports, I get nothing out of it. So there's something up with the board itself, and I have a different one. I just have to get a new case for it. We're waiting on a new case.
Have you done anything else this week?
Yeah, I went to Minecraft movie. I did play some games. I did get to play some games, and I busted.
See, I have radio experience, so I'm leading you into the topic that I know you're going to talk about.
I appreciate you. But yeah, we went with the fam to the Minecraft movie. I've been playing my Switch a little bit, and you know,
How was the Minecraft movie?
it was wonderful. I loved it. It really, I mean, it was no like, we weren't going to go in expecting Citizen Kane or anything. I was going in expecting a Minecraft movie with Jack Black and Jason Momoa, but
Mhm.
that's about it. Like, it was good. It was really good. I loved all the characters. I really don't know who the other like three actors are. The two ladies and the other guy. I've never really
All
seen
right.
them before. But like they were all wonderful. I thought that like everything like was cohesive. Everything made sense. Um, it was nice to see like a lot of Minecraft lore intermixed with just things that really just a movie, movie magic, I guess.
Yeah, the only actors that I really knew outside of Jason Momoa and Jack Black. So the main one of the main characters is Danielle Brooks. And she played, I know her because she played she was in the Peacemaker TV show.
Okay.
She plays one of the main characters. She plays Adebayo, who's one of the supporting cast, and I recognized her from that. And also, I haven't seen the movie yet, but I do see Jennifer Coolidge is in the film, and I like Jennifer Coolidge. And
Yes,
also Matt Berry is in the film. He does
Jennifer,
the voice.
Jennifer Coolidge was amazing. She was very funny.
The scene that sold me on the film is the one where Jennifer Coolidge runs over the villager in the trailer.
Yeah, that happens early on in the movie. Do you want me to like tell you what happens? I won't tell you exactly what happens, but
I
she
mean,
ends up,
yeah,
she ends
go
up
ahead.
dating this guy, the guy that
Oh,
she ends up dating the villager.
I mean, it's implied in the trailer where she hits the villager and then she's like,
Yeah.
you're pretty
I'm
hot.
not giving away too much, but like, yeah, she ends up
Right.
like picking him up and then taking him to dinner, and like it's so good. It's so funny.
I feel the vibe that I got from the trailer is that it's one of those relationships where he doesn't talk, so she's just kind of projecting her expectations on him.
It gets more complicated. It gets more complex than that, but yes, that is very much like you're hitting it on the head.
Okay.
Like it does get more complicated than that, but that is what it is for a little while.
Okay. Today, I realized about a half an hour before we started that today is May 4th. So we could have, if we planned things ahead, done anything Star Wars related. I have not.
I mean, may the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you, and I think tomorrow people have started doing the Revenge of the 5th.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, okay. All right.
But this is our legally mandated Star Wars recognition, with this episode being recorded on a Sunday, Sunday, May 4th, and the title of the episode being The Fempire Strikes Back.
There you go. Yeah.
Not officially associated with Disney in any way.
I think that's enough, though.
Yeah. But let's talk about the games that you've played.
Okay, so I again have been not been dabbling in too much. I actually haven't even had any like I haven't touched Sea of Thieves at all. Unfortunately, I just have been like busy with real life stuff, and again, computer issues. Like I'm just seem to, it's bothering me so much, so I really just don't want to use it very much. I played a little bit of Overcooked 2,
Okay.
which is a cooking at the theme of it, but really it's cooking is just kind of like what is it? Just like a stand-in for like what you're doing. It's just kind of cohesive to make everything make sense. It's very much a party game. It does seem like it would be much better with friends. I played it solo, and I was not sure what I was expecting because I've seen people playing it like sitting on the couch. I've seen like videos of people playing it, commercials, yada yada yada, where everybody's screaming, everybody's no no no, go over there, oh no no, everybody's like frustrated but yet having fun. I did experience that. I did experience a level of frustration as well as like coordination and trying to get it done. But for the game, when you're playing it by yourself, um gives you two characters that you can move around independently, but you can't move them around both at the same time. You basically switch between the two. So you effectively have a left hand and a right hand. And you have to pick up an item with space, you put it down with space, and then you hit control to like cook or like chop the item or whatever. If you have to like um prepare the item in any way, you hit control. So you end up in this it's also, and shift switches between the two characters. So you end up in this like shift control space um control scheme, and your brain always wants to be hitting all the buttons all at the same time, and you have to try to coordinate. I'm gonna grab the food, get it to here, while chop it. While it's chopping, switch characters, grab a plate, bring it over, grab the chopped food, and then all this other stuff. So if you're really good at that level of like intricate timing and stuff, it's a really fun game. If you are terrible at that, it will frustrate the living crap out of you. Plus, the difficulty ramps up very quick. Like I was noticing by the second stage, like level like 2-2, you have to start like throwing food from one character to another. And this takes a lot of coordination because you have to like leave the character in a place where you can grab the food and then like get the other character to a place where it can shoot the food over, but sometimes the level's moving around, and it just like by like the 6th or 7th level in, it's not nice to you anymore. I liked it. I think I want to play it more with a friend. I
Mhm.
think that would really make the game better because I struggled with mostly just getting things done. You can use a single character to get everything done and you'll do okay, but the whole idea is to coordinate between the two characters to maximize the amount of things you're doing. You like make your time as efficient as possible.
Yeah.
So, like, I like it. It's just it's a really odd single player game.
Right. It really is a game that you need that chaos. The
Yeah.
cooperative chaos, either with someone who's in the room with you or with someone online. It's also kind of perfect YouTuber bait.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not talking about in the same way that like games are good when you're playing with a friend, because like I'll play Borderlands with friends. I don't
Yeah.
like Borderlands. I don't know if I've mentioned that on the show before, but I'm not a biggest fan of Borderlands. If you like it, great. I'm not the biggest fan of it. But if I'm playing the Borderlands with friends, I'll have fun. I will enjoy it. I will like it. This doesn't seem to be that though. This
Right.
seems to be having another player is crucial to experiencing the core aspects of the game.
Yeah. You're expected to have someone else to coordinate with, and you're sending each other instructions like, I need the chicken, I need,
Yeah.
cut the potatoes, do this next. It's like an exaggerated version of working in a kitchen.
Yeah. And like I think it's great. I love like the art style is amazing. I never played Overcooked 1, but from what I understand, Overcooked 2 is just more and better Overcooked 1 with online support because the first one only had couch co-op support.
Okay.
So like I like it. I just want to find somebody that I can play it with, and then maybe I'll have more fun with it and we'll get more done. Because a lot of the levels I felt like I would make 2 or 3 dishes and I'm like, I didn't do enough. And I'd like be struggling to do more, and then I'd end up with like a score of 400, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to get 3 stars? 250? Oh, okay, so I feel like I barely got anything done and I smashed the score. So there's something that's a little bit off in that regard. Like maybe I'm just, maybe I was just too hyped for it. Maybe I just wasn't playing it casually. I was kind of sweating on it a little, but like, so maybe if I went back and took like a little bit more casual, maybe more like relaxed approach to it.
Right. I mean, it's expecting that there's 2 people with 2 controllers playing it. It's not.
Yeah.
It has a solo mode, but it's not geared for solo play.
Yeah. I like that they did as much for solo play as I think you could with a game like that. Because otherwise, they could just be like, no, there is no solo mode. You have to find a friend to play this with.
Right.
Something akin to like Among Us, where you cannot play it by yourself.
Yeah.
know? So like, yeah, I appreciate that's an option, but yeah, I feel like it's not the best mode for this kind of game. But yeah, another cooking game on my list for the week. What do you know? And then I played some. So I have here in my hand. It's actually a fairly rare game these days. Super Mario 3D All Stars for Nintendo Switch.
I have that.
Yeah, it's actually, check out what it's worth. It's actually worth quite a bit.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's, you mind me saying, it's worth $100. Like, just the cart, like open, like brand. If you have it sealed, it's worth like $150.
No, mine's open. I played Mario 64 with it.
Yeah, I've been playing Mario Sunshine. So this is gonna date how old I am. I rented Mario Sunshine for Nintendo GameCube back when it first released.
So did I.
From a video store, the ancient business that no longer exists.
I got mine from Blockbuster.
Yeah, not video store. I did not get to really play it much when I was a kid. I feel like in the little bit of time that I spent with it, I got way more done than I went when I was a kid. And I remember, I think this is just part of the nostalgia thing. I remember the levels being a lot bigger than what they were when I experienced it now. So that was kind of fun. But I never really got to play much of it, and it's a very good Mario game. Like, I got through, I think the first 2 bosses. It may have just been like a mini boss and then the first boss. But yeah, I had like, if you haven't played Mario Sunshine, it's a classic game. It's wonderful. Yeah, I really don't have that much to talk about this week.
I remember it. I love going back to games like that because I played the first video game that I ever played was when my dad came home from work one day, and he had in a bag, he had a Game Boy with Super Mario Land.
Ah, yeah, 6 golden coins.
And I remember Super Mario Land taking me months as a kid to beat. And then on the Nintendo 3DS, Nintendo released Super Mario Land, and I beat it in about an hour and a half. Because it is 4 worlds, 4 levels per world, assuming you don't use any of the warps. And each level might take you like a minute.
Yeah, I think it's just when you're young, you're still experiencing like what video games are. And now that we're older, it's just like, well, yeah, I know like general things to expect.
Yeah.
I did notice myself getting a little bit lost in it. Um, they're not as explicit as they are in, I guess, more modern day Mario of like where to go, what to do, yada yada yada. Because I went through one of the worlds and I was like, okay, what do I do now? And I didn't realize you got to go back into the portal to continue on progressing in that same world.
Mm-hmm.
So I did, and it, that it makes more sense now. But it doesn't really tell you to go back in to continue, like
Yeah.
going.
There's nothing on the screen that says, hey, go back into the world.
Yeah, exactly. So, but in terms of like Mario games, it's like I love Mario 64, but it's Mario 64 is very clunky.
Yeah. And the thing with Mario 64 is when I bought the collection when it came out, and I remember people complaining that they hadn't updated the camera on Mario 64 for the 25th anniversary edition or whatever it was. And I thought about it for a second and I was like, well, of course not. If they updated the camera to make it smooth on Mario 64, the game would be easy enough for a baby to beat it.
Yeah.
Like once you get rid of the clunky controls and the camera being in the way, that is a very simple game.
Yeah. It's like if you go back and try to play Perfect Dark, it's like if you were to adapt it to modern day controls, it'd be incredibly easy to play. But because of like the nature of the way they were developing that style control system, yeah, it's much different.
Perfect Dark and GoldenEye. Because if you give it modern controls, you have to deal with the fact that all of the enemies take a good 4 to 5 seconds to aim up on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the thing about Mario Sunshine is that it wasn't very clunky. It had a full 360-degree camera that you could just move as much as you wanted, wherever you wanted. Well, not as much as you wanted, because I did notice that like I would try to be moving the camera like past a building so I could look at the other side of it, and it wouldn't let me. I would have to like go past it, and then I'd be able to turn the camera around, and then I'd get like the view that I wanted. So there is a little bit clunkiness in it. Ooh, that's like a
That's the Switch one. I think I'm one of the only people on Earth that actually enjoys the Nintendo 64 controller.
Oh, we share a brain cell because that is like one of my favorite controllers.
Everyone that I talk to, they say that the N64 controller is terrible and it doesn't fit your hands well. I'm like, no, it works fine for me.
I thought it fit my hands just fine. I thought that the I know about the different positions for the controller itself, and one of them
Whoa.
was literally never used.
On this one.
There's three. There's three different. There's left, right, and center.
Oh, okay.
And left was right was never used. There's not a game that uses the D-pad and the stick. So they had 3 different they even showed you in like the manual of like left, right, and center position, but right was never used.
Right.
Or I don't know which one. Whatever one was never used. It was always like either center or right.
Left.
Yeah,
Left
the
never gets used.
Yeah, left one was never used. So, but it did exist. I don't know why they like showcased it.
I don't know what people's problems with it is. I maybe it's because like this was my main system when I was a kid, but I never had any problems holding the N64 controller.
Yeah, me neither. I always kind of liked the futuristic look to it. It definitely looks like a video game controller, and one of my favorite aspects of it.
Yeah. It is always funny to me to think of Giant Bomb for things that have not aged well. I occasionally dwell upon the Giant Bomb review of Alien on the original PlayStation.
Oh,
Because
really?
the first person shooter Alien on the original PlayStation, which used the DualShock, and the GameSpot review back in the late 90s when it came out blasted the controls. They said that it wasn't user friendly, it wasn't ergonomic, it didn't feel right. And the controls specifically were moving and strafing with the left joystick and looking with the right one.
Yeah, the modern control scheme every game uses now.
Yes, the control scheme that every shooter, every first-person game and platformer uses to this day.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time I played I played FPSs. I started out on Doom and Wolfenstein. So I still remember talking with my dad when we bought Medal of Honor Allied Assault, and by default it used the WASD keys. And both of us were like, this is stupid. Like, why would you use the WASD keys when the arrow keys are right there?
Yeah, now you're like, why did I think that?
Now I can't even think of positioning my hands to have like the mouse movement and have my hand to the right to put my. Also, there's too many things to do on the keyboard in the vicinity of your movement keys.
The worst control scheme that I am aware of is the original Elite from 1984.
Mhm.
That thing was off the wall. I don't know how to play that game.
Or those the early flight, like the flight simulators from the 90s that were straight ass simulators that used every single key on the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some games I played this week.
Okay, yeah. What'd you
I have
play?
a fast food game.
Ooh, okay.
It's not a new one. I played more Fast Food Simulator because they released an update to it. And the update that they released, it wasn't a big update. It's more quality of life things. And in the latest update, they added in the ability to flip a burger without picking it up. Just to make things faster. Like you hit, instead of, because with the way that it was before, you would pick up the burger, flip it. You would have to pick up the burger and then flip it.
Okay.
Because when you're cooking burgers, you have to cook each side to 100%.
Gotcha.
And in this one, you hit a button and then it just flips it.
Okay.
They added the ability to pick up multiple ingredients at one time. Where before you had to, like, if you had a burger that had 4 onions on it, you would have to be like onion burger, onion burger, onion burger, like just go back and forth. Or you would have to pick up the entire container and then put the food on and then put it back.
Gotcha.
They added in the ability to cook individual chicken patties, which is a big thing for me. Because with the way that they did it before, initially the chicken patties come in stacks of 9, which made it really annoying because if you were at the end of the day and a customer wanted 1 chicken patty and you ran out, you had to cook 9 chicken patties.
Gotcha. And so you threw away 8 of them.
Yeah. And this is a game where your ingredients cost money. So you almost had to decide whether or not you wanted to lose the popularity from screwing up the order, have the customer leave, not make any money, or cook an additional 8 patties. And they also added the ability to customize your burger place. They added in little customization options, and I posted a screenshot of that not too long ago, and I'll send you the screenshot. The Femboy Burger Barn, which is the name of my fast food restaurant, has become far more femme this week.
I like it. I like the pink and white tile.
Pink and white tile, pink table stuff. I made as much pink as I could. It has that retro 1950s sort of burger restaurant, but also very pink. I even made the door pink. And I'm looking forward to it because they haven't really added in much in the way of new ingredients. The big update from the last update was that you now have to stock and worry about the amount of soda that you have.
Okay.
You have to buy soda syrup. And that's just sort of been a thing of it runs out slow enough that it's not actually a big issue. And they added in, I noticed, on the order form, there are 5 new slots for things that are coming soon. So
Okay.
I'm excited to see what they'll be able to make next, because the game is extremely chaotic. You already have soda, ice cream, coffee, burgers, cheeseburgers, chicken patties, chicken sandwiches, chicken nuggets, and fries. My stomach gurgled as I was saying that. I have 31 hours in this game so far. It's still in early access. I'm making myself hungry. So the next game that I played, I tried to go a little bit, I try not to make myself a one-note stereotype. So after last week, where I had the gay dating visual novel, I decided to play Cupid's Chatroom, which is technically not a gay visual novel because you can make yourself a woman. But the plot of the game is that your computer is taken over by Cupid, who sets you up in a chat room with 5 eligible bachelors.
Ooh.
And you can choose at the start of the game. It says, what are your pronouns? He, she, or they. So it's to all the people who will say I only play gay games. It is, you can be a woman. I mean, technically speaking, all of the guys are at the very least bi. I did make my character a guy. But it plays out as a chat room, and the more you talk to the guys, the more flirty they become. And in the demo, I was able... So there's no... The developer has said on the Steam page that there's no sex.
Okay.
There's flirting, there's photos that get sent. Nothing in the demo, but there's no... You never meet the people in person.
Gotcha.
And you're the only person who knows the true purpose of the chat room, which is to find you true love. The only thing that the other people in the chat room know is that this Cupid app got installed on their computer. They don't know how to uninstall it. And the whole game is just meeting. It's simulating a chat room. There's a lot of writing in it. And then so the one guy that you can kind of schmooze is an actor. And he's nervous about an audition that he has, and you can be like, "Hey cutie, like let's, when everyone else goes to bed, you and I can can run through your line readings. And then the more you talk to him, he puts himself, you do a video, an audio chat and then a video chat, and you see his face. And it's simulating a mutual chat. So like he talks to you as if he's looking at you through your camera.
Yeah. Okay.
But it is a very dialogue heavy game, as you would expect. It's a visual novel of sorts, and you're deciding which of these men you prefer the most, because you have like the very business-like lawyer, you have the goofy one, the actor, the college student, etc., etc.
I love the 1980s anime art style that they've got going.
I love it.
Yeah, it's really like that simplistic anime style. Works really well for this.
Also, the computer background is very pink.
Very pink.
Now, I have a third game that I played. This one I've been meaning to play for a very long time. And then Epic gave it for free. And I added it to my library, and I remembered that it existed yesterday because I realized I hadn't played a full game for today's show. And the game is Fashion Police Squad. And Fashion Police Squad is one of the most charming games that I've played in recent history. Fashion Police Squad, you play as Sergeant Dez, who is just fabulous looking. And you're a member of the Fashion Police Squad. You are police whose job is to deal with fashion crime. And your weapons, your guns, are things that you use to enforce the fashion law. So, for example, also I should point out that this is like a very Doom Wolfenstein. It's flat sprites in a 3D world. I would say the gameplay is very similar to Doom Eternal, where you have very tight arenas and you have to use specific weapons to take down certain enemies. Otherwise, your guns just don't do any damage to them. But it's all very thematic in how it goes about it. So your basic enemies are these guys in gray drab suits. And the only way to beat them is to use your carbine that is loaded with paint. So the only way to beat them is to use your carbine that's loaded with paint. And when you shoot them with it, it fills them out with a very colorful suit. There is a businessman who's wearing you have businessmen who are wearing very large, oversized suits. And you have a weapon called the tailor-made, which is a sewing machine gun that you hit them with to fit the suit so that it fits them perfectly. And you also you use the tailor-made on one of the enemy types they're Karens. And they run around trying to pepper spray you. And they're also wearing ill-fitting potato sacks. And you have to hit them with the tailor-made to make the potato sacks fit their bodies. There's an enemy, you also use the tailor-made. There's an enemy who, I swear to God, is themed after Backpack Kid. Do you know who Backpack Kid is?
No.
Backpack Kid is the kid that got famous for the floss dance.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
He looks exactly like him, And what you have to do is he has the opposite problem where his clothes are on too tight. So you have to hit him with the tailor-made bomb that covers him in fabric, and then you have to stitch him a new suit by shooting him with the tailor-made. And when you shoot him, he does the floss dance. But I realize with his hair and just with his like complexion, it's very clearly based off of the Backpack Kid. Now, like I said, the whole game is going from area to area. It's a lot of very small, enclosed. It's an arena shooter that you just have to kind of figure out who to attack first. And you figure out in what order to defeat enemies. And I almost forgot, as another one of your basic weapons, you have sock goblins.
Ooh.
No, sock gnomes.
Sock gnome.
Sock gnomes. They eat socks. And they're perfect because you need them to deal with the German-ish tourists who are running around with socks and sandals taking photos of everything. So you have to throw 2 sock gnomes on them, one for each sock, to defeat them. This is what the game is.
This is video games, everybody.
Yep. I love everything about it. It is such a charming game. It's a game that I can imagine people finding obnoxious. Your armor is swag. And your health you get by drinking tons and tons of mocktails that you just find on the street. And the game goes out of its way to say that they are mocktails. And like one of your fellow officers calls you early on and she's like, "I'm just drinking a virgin daiquiri." And then she commends you for your ironclad stomach that you're just like, you whip open boxes and just drink the mocktails in it. And also you have a whip. And the whip is your belt. And you use the belt on a specific enemy. You can use it on anyone to temporarily stun them, but the belt specifically you use on these dudes who walk around vaping and they have their pants sagging around their thighs. And you have to hit them with a charged belt to like belt their pants up. And it's hilarious.
I love every aspect of this game.
It is great. It's a game that if you play it straight through, you can probably beat it I beat it on Saturday, start to finish.
Okay.
It might take you, I don't know what my total amount of time was, maybe like 8 to 10 hours.
Okay, yeah. That's not unreasonable.
And keeping with the theme, there are collectibles in each level that you can find. But I love the characters. Like I said, it's something that if you're very easily annoyed by very flamboyant games, you're probably going to hate this. Especially because every time you defeat an enemy, there's an announcer that says something. So like you give someone color back to their clothes, and the announcer is like debonair, is like snazzy, and then for a couple of them he goes yas. If you're annoyed by the idea of a game that routinely shouts yas, you are not going to like this.
Slay Queen.
Yes. Your character does say yes quite a bit.
Yes.
but I love it. It's a world where everything revolves around fashion. And even the villain is creating a doomsday device that will make the whole world unfashionable. It is a device that looks like a giant stiletto heel that will somehow make the entire world unfashionable.
I'm trying to struggle with that what it actually do, but it does sound terrible.
I don't know, but it just makes everyone's clothing drab and boring.
Everybody's clothes turns into polka dot? I don't know.
Everyone's suits would just be gray.
I guess,
Everyone would just be colorless and boring.
but wouldn't that become fashionable at that point then?
No.
No, all right, fair. I don't know fashion.
So those are the games that I played this week. Now I want to get into we can do our normal back and forth. We got some more games actually that we're looking forward to this week. Now, the first one that I want to talk about is Cleaner Company Prologue. And that's the demo, of course, for Cleaner Company. Because this looks like a hybrid of two things. It looks like a hybrid of Viscera Cleanup Detail and Lethal Company. It's a cleaning game where you're picking up gore and cleaning up areas, but there's also combat in it. So you're getting attacked by monsters and having to actually defend yourself. So there's something in it. It's not just a game of picking up props that the developers have thrown across the map.
No, but they clearly have nailed the two things together.
Yes.
like unapologetically so, they have nailed together Lethal Company and Visceral Cleanup Detail to the point
Yeah.
where like it's literally the exact characters from Lethal Company, and then the mop does that thing with the like each individual bristle does all like the crazy movement from.
Yeah.
So like it's literally just like, get the
It
duct
is
tape.
it is shamelessly a combo of both of those games, and that's
Yeah.
what I find. That's what is pulling me to it.
Okay, yeah. They're both. It's like you know what this is. We know what this is. It's a good game.
Right. It's like it's the Reese's Cup of two video game genres, where you either have you have Lethal Company where it's just combat for the most part, and then you have Viscera Cleanup Detail where it's just cleaning.
Yeah.
And now this mashes them both together and gives you something to do in between tasks. Something to vary things up.
I think it could work. I kind of want to try it. I like Visceral. I like Lethal Company, so like.
Well, the prologue is coming out this week, so you'll be able to try it at no cost.
Do prologues like this usually have online connectivity? Because this seems like a game I want to play. Okay, so yeah, because I'd want to play with somebody else.
Yeah.
These games scare the living shit out of me.
Well, it comes out on May 6th. And it looks like it has up to 4-player co-op.
I have a game. Not usually in my like usual repertoire of games, but like I have a zombie game called Survival Machine.
Ooh.
It looks like you're like building you're building like a fortress. It's like a fortress defense kind of thing. You're upgrading against waves of enemies. You're crafting, It looks good. It looks like you build like a fortress to have it, waves of enemies come at you. When I go for zombie games, I typically go for things that like zombies aren't necessarily the focus. It just happens to have zombies in it.
Right.
And this is one of those games. So if you like zombie games, you like building games, I think this would be. It looks good. It looks like I like the art style for it.
I like the very steampunk aesthetic to it.
Mm-hmm.
It has that sort of Wild Wild West
And in
but
the trailer,
also low polygon.
they do the Thriller dance, so it's got to be good.
Of course. It's got the Thriller dance.
Yeah. So that one's coming out on May 7th.
Okay. My second game, which I guess you might not have much interest in because it looks horrifying, is Trench Tales. Now, this is a story-driven third-person action game. It's set in a very weird alternate world hybrid of World War I and World War II, where it's a third-person shooter. You're going through trenches, fighting monsters, and you need to upgrade your guns in order to survive. The game looks fantastic. It is very, very dark, very grim. A lot of tight enclosed spaces, and the player gets access to some powers as the game goes on. But there's also apparently a very extensive weapon customization system. You have a lot of damage that you can do to the environment, but the game looks amazing.
Yeah,
And it's being developed by Titan Talking Drums, who I've personally never heard of before.
there's a crazy level of detail, and I get like combination of like Battlefield 1 and Helldivers vibes out of it, and it looks amazing. I might actually try this. I might actually play this because like it's visually like stunning.
I kind of hope that they have a demo for it. Also, you can tell that this is an indie developer because if you look at the screenshots, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, it has the preparing shaders debug stuff still showing on the screenshots.
You can request a playtest for it.
I did request a playtest, but I think that the alpha is over for that.
Okay.
But it looks so good. I'm hoping it's not that expensive. Okay. What else you got for us?
All right, so we got another base building city builder. I really like building games, so I tend to gravitate toward them. Starfall. So it's kind of along the kind of like the idea of like Clash of Clans, where you have like a big city that you're overseeing, but then you also deal with waves of enemies, and you've got to like wall it up to try to keep enemies from getting out. It's an RTS. It looks really good. I played an RTS a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago. They Are Billions, and I got like really, really back into RTS because of it. So now I'm more branching out into them again. So this looks really good.
It looks very Warcrafty in the aesthetic.
Yeah, and that's kind of what drew me to it. It's like it reminds me of like Warcraft 3, but it also reminds me again of like They Are Billions. So They Are Billions is a 2D game, whereas Warcraft is 3D. So this is 3D. It looks really nice. I want to try this out. There's a demo
They
for
do
it.
have a demo. I'll have to check out the demo for this.
Yeah, I'll download it too.
Now, my third game that I have, because I am woefully addicted to shop simulators, is Teddy's Haven, a fantasy-inspired shop simulator. It is a cozy shop simulator where you manage a magical store. All of these games are effectively interchangeable down to just what assets you're selling. But there's something about the fantasy setting that is drawing me to this game. It looks good. It doesn't look like the same because a lot of the shop simulators, they're very obviously asset packs thrown together. But this looks like at the very least, an obscure asset pack if they're using it. But it does look like its own thing. Also, there's a lot of glowing rocks and potions, and I like the sight of it.
There wasn't much to shopkeep.
Right. They
This is-
have promised dynamic events and a new game plus system, which I don't know what that means.
From the trailer, it looks like there's a magical goat that comes up and tries to buy weapons from you.
I want to sell a sword. I want to sell a glowing orange sword to a magical goat.
Yeah, it looks great.
But yeah, it looks nice. The shop looks good. The graphics look good. I mean, it's a game that I will end up probably putting dozens of hours into, similar to Fast Food Simulator. What you got?
All right, so my final game, because I didn't really see that much this week coming out, a 2D side-scrolling building game called Dalek Town. It advertises itself as a platformer as well as a farming sim, so that's interesting. It has very much Terraria and Fallout Shelter vibes, because you're building it seems to be like you're building like your own kind of town slash like hideout thing. Um, and I guess you're going through and like looting and bringing stuff back to improve your structure, to give yourself better things to survive. But it's also like a farming game. So like you're going out to like get stuff to farm. I'm really not sure what this is, but I like the look of it. I like the post-apocalyptic feel to it. And it seems kind of, I don't know. I like it, but it seems cute, but at the same time seems like, again, that post-apocalyptic thing.
Right. There's a lot going on. It's platforming, fishing, gardening, crafting, survival, dealing with the weather. It looks very in depth.
Yeah, it looks like it could be fun.
There is a demo too.
This one is out on May 7th.
Ooh. By Red Saw Games Studio. Best known apparently for their Dolok Town. Huh, so, debut studio.
Yeah.
Now, I have another, my last game is Pixel Shire. It looks very Stardew Valley-ish. But it's an RPG sandbox with a life sim, town building, combat. It is very Stardew Valley. But I would like more Stardew Valley. You can actually, they do have a cost up. It's going to be $17 when it comes out. But it is a game where you're building up the town. I do like a game that lets you build in the town. And it's because I tend to get annoyed by little things like when they do show at one point where like the player is building land over a bit of river. And that always annoys me in games like Stardew Valley where you can't affect the terrain because you get those little parts of town that just get annoying to try to travel through.
Yeah. And that is part of the charm of Stardew Valley. It's like you are like kind of dropped into this town, but at the same time, like I get it. Like if you want to like be able to move things around, this allows for that. It looks good. It looks so cute.
Mm-hmm. It looks like, so it's very Stardew Valley-ish. It looks like there's much more emphasis, almost like the latest Animal Crossing, where you are building, instead of being thrown into a static town, you are building the town and attracting people. So you get to decide what goes where, how things are set up, and how easily navigable it is. Which I like. Which I also like. I like the idea of a game where you meet people in a progressive way rather than Stardew Valley, which throws you into the town. It's like, hey, your first quest is to introduce yourself to all 33 townsfolk.
Yeah. Whereas this takes the more like Animal Crossing approach to it, where it's like you get a person because they're you made space, so you get a person. You get a person.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot better too.
But those are the games. This one actually got the Wholesome Game Award in 2022, as well as got picked for the official selection for Guerrilla Collective. Now, I have a couple of news stories, and I printed them out
Ooh.
so I could highlight them in pink. Because that's the theme of this episode. Now, the first news story, which is not hopefully going to be a good thing for indies. Microsoft has announced that they are the first-party games by holiday 2025 are going to start being $80. They posted on their support page, they said, we also expect to adjust the pricing of some of our first-party games starting this holiday to $79.99. This comes on the heel of Microsoft announcing on May 1st that starting May 1st, the cost of their consoles would be increasing. And I hope you bought your Xbox already if you were planning on getting one, because wow. The Series S is now $379. The Xbox Series X, the standard, $600.
Ooh.
The 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition, $730.
Ew.
Now, that's kind of important because the PlayStation, the PS5, is $500. The regular PlayStation 5 is $500. The Series X digital is now $530. The Elite, the Series 2, the wireless Elite controller is now $200. A wireless, the Xbox wireless headset is $120.
Ooh. Ouch.
Now, I would hope, as I have hoped in the past, very fruitlessly, that the idea of first-party games hitting $80 should, in a logical world, be a boon to the indie gaming space. But I know a lot of people who are angry about the idea of games hitting $80, and Microsoft's putting their games up to $80, Nintendo's putting some of their games up to $80. And if you told people play more indie games, they're cheaper, a lot of them will say, I don't play indie games. So in a just world, this should be the greatest gift to indie gaming.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it opens more people's eyes to playing indie games. But we will see. I'm interested in what gaming will look like when first party releases start costing $80 right off the bat.
I do think we're going to see a big like either resurgence or just a big surge in indie games, because
Yeah.
if you can go get, a AAA game for $80, or you can get a game that's like, we'll say 80% is good. We'll say if you had a game, AAA game, you spent 100 hours in it, but you have an indie game that it's just as fun, but you only get 65 to 70 hours out of it, we'll say. It's just as fun, but you're spending half as much.
Yeah.
I'll take the $40, 70-hour experience versus the $80, 100-hour experience if
Right.
I'm having just as much fun.
Yeah. Some of my most memorable games are indie games.
Because that means now I buy 2 games and I'm already over that hill.
Exactly.
That's it. And have you ever bought 2 games before? I have.
Or with a lot of these games, I mean, you're talking about putting with $80. I mean, I own a lot of indie games on Steam that are maybe a couple of hour experiences that I bought for $2-3. I can get a lot of those for $80, and they'll be a lot more memorable than whatever the latest Call of Duty is.
Yeah, exactly. And really, you're buying Call of Duty for the multiplayer anyway. You're not really buying it for the campaign.
Yeah.
So I'm buying if I'm spending $80, it's gonna be on Zelda. It's gonna be on Mario. It's gonna be on a really, really good Sonic game, or Tomb Raider.
Right.
I'm not spending $80 on hell. I won't even spend $80 on Sea of Thieves if it's that's just the base game. I'll spend $80 on cosmetics that I have because.
Well, that's over time.
And then that's over time. Yeah, that's over time too. But in terms of an 80 initial buy, I always tell people wait for Sea of Thieves to go on sale for $20.
Right.
So
I
even
mean,
my favorite game.
Things are coming back my way because I've had people mocking me in the past about my GameFly subscription, but now that AAA games are hitting $80 on launch, guess who looks smart paying $30 a month guess who looks smart paying $30 a month to guarantee a lot of those games on day one?
Yeah, exactly. Plus, we're gonna see a bigger resurgence. I think we're gonna see more subscription numbers to Xbox Game Pass, to EA Play, if the EA is still doing that. I'm not sure if they are.
They are.
Ubisoft's whatever the hell they were doing. I know they have one.
They have, yeah. It's you play.
You Play, yeah, okay. What is it? Well, I thought that was the name of their store too.
Or Ubi Plus.
Ubi Plus. There we go. Okay, yeah.
I like Ubi Plus. See, the thing with Ubi Plus is that they very clearly piecemeal out content for their games to keep people subscribed. But if you subscribe to Ubi Plus, you get the digital deluxe edition of the game. So you have access to all the game plus all the DLC if it's out. With just the 16, and for the $18 subscription, you get it on PC. You can cross between PC and Xbox. So every once a year, I will subscribe to Ubisoft Plus for a month to play a game or two that I wanted to play that I haven't had the ability to. And I mean, for Ubisoft's games, they're long enough that are you really going to go back and play Assassin's Creed Origins again once you're done with it?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the early Assassin's Creed games that were more tighter, that weren't fully 200-hour open world RPGs. But not the newer ones.
I don't know. I don't hate the idea entirely. Now let me get a little controversial here.
Subscription or
$80 games. I don't hate the I hear me out, everybody. Don't put down your pitchfork. Stop typing. I don't hate the idea of $80 video games initially, as long as if we get $80 and that would have been all the DLC, all the cosmetics, all of everything. If they just charge $80 and they don't do any other bullshit on top of it, I really think I'd be okay with it. We saw this with Tears of the Kingdom versus Breath of the Wild, and I think Tears of the Kingdom was much better off because of it.
Yeah.
The DLC for Breath of the Wild was kind of crap. Didn't make any sense in my opinion. And instead of doing that for Tears of the Kingdom, they were just like, yeah, $70, no other DLC, full ass game.
Yeah.
Like, and there's more to do than Breath of the Wild. And I didn't need any bullshit DLC. So like, I think if they do that, they can give me a game that like I finished Tears of the Kingdom and I literally started it right back up again to play for another 200 hours or something. I played that game for a ridiculous amount of time. And like, so if they can do that, then I'm okay with it. I really am.
Yeah. I need to go back and play through Breath of the Wild. I never beat it. I put 85 hours into that game.
It's good, and if you haven't played Tears of the Kingdom, like don't play Tears of the Kingdom till you finish Breath of the Wild because you won't want to go back.
Right. So I have one more news story and then we'll wrap up. Today is a very tight show. I mean, we've been going for like an hour and 10 minutes.
That's okay.
Now, Epic Games. This one's a little bit more positive for developers. Epic Games, in their endless crusade for market share, has announced that beginning June 1st, developers will pay 0% revenue share on the first $1 million in annual revenue per app. And then after that, it'll go to the usual 88-12 revenue share model.
Okay. All right, I can get behind this. Why are they doing this?
To try to get more developers on the platform.
Okay.
Because I know from speaking to one of our mutual developer friends that Epic has gone away from paid exclusives because they haven't quite worked out that well. So this is their way of getting more developers on board and like getting them to release games at the very least simultaneously on the Epic Game Store with Steam. 100% revenue for the first year. And the important part of that is it's per app. So like if you have an app that makes 600,000 and an app that makes 500,000, it's 1.1 million, but it's 1 million per app. So you're still getting 100% of the revenue. Now, the biggest market to be on is still Steam.
Yeah.
But this is a little bit, it's an extra incentive.
I'm having a hard time poking a hole in this one.
Nope.
Know what I mean?
They also announced with this, because Epic hates Google and Epic hates Apple. Epic Games is launching a feature where developers will be able to launch their own web stores hosted on the Epic Game Store. This is for mobile.
Okay.
You'll be able to offer out-of-app purchases on a more cost-effective platform. This is all a method of dodging the 30% revenue share that Google and Apple take. So this entire thing is Epic giving a giant middle finger and fuck you to both of the companies, saying like, basically, we're going to offer the infrastructure of the Epic Game Store so developers can get our smaller cut and avoid the mobile companies and their giant 30% take.
Once again, I'm finding difficulty finding a like flaw in this because I tend to favor things that either favor developers or favor consumer, and this is going to favor both.
Yep. And as an added incentive, players spending in Epic Web Shops will also accrue 5% Epic rewards based on their purchases.
There you go.
Which I get my 5% back on my Fortnite subscription that I used to buy several outfits in Infinity Nikki when that came out.
Yeah, I mean, if they're just doing this in order to bring in more developers, in order to, like, you know, like you said, just have it at the very least a simultaneous release on the Epic Store and Steam, like, I'm okay with this. Competition's always a good thing.
I love Tim Sweeney's. I'm not a fan of a lot of things that the guy does, but I take a lot of enjoyment out of his just very passionate crusade against Apple and Google.
Yeah.
The man despises both companies, and he's devoted millions of dollars to just hurting them at any given opportunity.
He doesn't like Microsoft either.
No.
So, like, all three of them, really.
The only reason that Microsoft is not in his target is because, I mean, if Microsoft still had the Zune, or if Microsoft had a phone, they would probably be part of the trio.
Fair, but I know that in the last, couple of years, he has said some things denouncing Microsoft about how we should, like, they're wanting to create an all-in-one platform is really not good for everybody. And
He doesn't like closed economies.
Yeah, which I agree with him on that aspect.
But like I said, there's some things about the guy that I don't like, but I do love the little things that he does. Because Fortnite was the one that really brought us into crossplay being just a common thing with consoles.
Yes.
And it all came back to because at the time Sony was saying we can't really, like, crossplay is not that easy. And then Fortnite had a bug that accidentally enabled crossplay. And Tim's response was like, oops, we accidentally flipped a switch and it enabled crossplay. I guess it was very easy to do after all. And then he went to the table and they got Microsoft and Nintendo to agree to allow crossplay on Fortnite. And then he kind of like went back to the public and he was like, well, I guess Sony can decide not to participate if they want to. This is all on them. We just have to flip a switch and it'll be perfectly fine. And everyone got angry at Sony for being the holdout. And it pressured them into approving it. And now with multiplayer games, it's just expected.
I remember that era too, because that little time period, because like the Microsoft Twitter account was tweeting at the Nintendo account going, hey, you want to go play Minecraft? And Nintendo was like, yeah, let's go.
Yep.
And it was hilarious. And they were just trolling the living crap out of Sony. And it was wonderful.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious. Like, the guy knows his PR stuff, and he knows how to kind of publicly shame companies. There's a lot of points with Tim Sweeney where I just think like, oh, he's funny.
Yeah.
Even, minus the things about how they very clearly bought Bandcamp as a prop to use in their lawsuit, and then once they no longer needed it, like, fired everyone and then sold the company off. So the guy is a sleazy CEO, but occasionally the things that he does are aligned with things that are better for customers and for the market.
Yeah.
Or for small developers, I would say. I mean, I know that the whole thing is he wants phones to have an open economy, so Epic can shove its dick in the door and they can be the ones taking the cut, albeit a smaller cut because it's like 12%. He's opening up for competition so Epic can wedge its way in and be that competition. But there's also an aspect of like, well, we also want to open it up for everyone else, so we still have to compete with the other people.
Yeah, because I do remember him like talking about how Microsoft having exclusives were like, I think it was this Microsoft having exclusives were not good for the gaming hobby in total in general.
Yeah.
But please come to the Epic Store where we have exclusives, and
Right.
you want to come get our store because of the exclusives that we have, no one else has. So it's
I will say for that, there is a functional difference between something that's exclusive on an Xbox versus something that's on PC, but it's on one store instead of another.
that is fair. That is fair.
Like, if Epic's exclusivity was preventing games from releasing on PlayStation or Xbox, I would say then Tim Sweeney's a complete hypocrite. But he's only really half of a hypocrite.
And I agree with that. Yeah.
He's there in spirit, but also very open to criticism on what he says about competition versus competition and open markets versus what they actually do. They occasionally don't align with each other.
But I do very much agree with you that they're like wanting to like level the playing field so that way they could be out in front.
They want to level the playing field because they want to get their foot in the door.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And everyone else getting their foot in the door is a side effect. Because they can't just say, we want our piece too, and screw everyone else.
Yeah.
It's a way of, like Epic's always looking to diversify their investments. They need to do something other than just Fortnite and the Unreal Engine. Ooh, my stomach is gurgling. So I guess that's probably a good time to wrap things up. Also because I have nothing else to say. Now, Hannah.
Yes.
Where can we find you on the internet?
Usually sitting behind my computer.
Oh.
No, we can find me at the Sentinels of the Store. I am the event coordinator. We will be doing an event this Friday, where we host an event, and a bunch of people come in, play a game together. I actually need to go figure out what game we're playing this week.
I was just going to ask that, but I guess I have the answer now.
Yeah.
Well, I have an answer.
I was supposed to get back to the boss on that yesterday, and I completely spaced on it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, this is Online for Maintenance, the official podcast of MMOFallout.com. If you want to support whatever the hell we just did for the last hour, you can check us out on patreon.com/MMOFallout. We need funding for hosting and all that other garbage. And also to keep our brain single shared brain cell energized and fed.
We need more funding for knee-high socks.
Oh yes, and even more funding for the thigh-high socks.
Yes, exactly.
But on that note, I will call things off with Polaris and Hey Sandy. Good night.
Bye, everybody. Love you. Mwah.
That's your dog bite. Hey Cindy. Hey Cindy. That's your dog bite. Hey Cindy.
Please join the Patreon. My legs are so cold.